What's happening, everybody? Trey here, joined today by my dad, Sean, and today, reactions to the classics. It's time for another full album reaction to The Jam and their record, All Mod Cons. I want to shout out our resident Paul Weller, a super fan here, guy who really introduced us to The Jam,
yes.
our patron, Peter.
Peter's introduced us to a lot of great stuff. We've already done a full album reaction to The Jam, and we'll have one more coming up either next month or very soon.
Yeah.
And we've also done a Weller Top 10.
That's right, man. So we got a lot of Jam content up on here if you want to check that out after you end up watching this, man. So let's just kind of dive into this. Before we do, though, little housekeeping. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that big red subscribe button, and if you'd like us to do anything for you here at the channel, you can check out our Patreon page. Shout out to the patrons like Peter who help support the channel, and you can follow us on our social media, Facebook, Twitch, all that fun stuff as well. But all that to say, Dad, let's just get into these quick facts.
Let's do it. Third studio album released in 1978, went to number 6 in the UK. It was reissued in the US in 1979 with the song The Butterfly Collector, replacing Billy Hunt. I mentioned that just in case you have this album and it's a US version, because you know the US records company's always screwing with the original album listings going all the way back to the Beatles, as we well know. The title is a British idiom one might find in housing advertisement. It's short for all modern conveniences and is a pun on the band's association with the mod revival. Once again, we got Weller, Paul Weller's guitar, piano, harmonica, vocals, Bruce Foxton on bass and vocals, and Rick Buckler on drums and percussion.
And Weller said in 1998, reflecting on his mindset between This Is the Modern World, their second record, and then this, saying, quote, "I found my feet after This Is the Modern World. I thought, am I going to let this slide or fight against it? My back was against the wall. It was a matter of self-pride." Following the release of that record, The Jam undertook a 78 tour of the U.S. supporting the group Blue Oyster Cult, which I don't know. I wouldn't put those two bands
I wouldn't
together,
either,
man.
But, I guess when you're trying to tour and get over, you go with whoever you can, man.
They weren't well received on the tour and booed off stage, which
maybe
is unfortunate.
Because of what you're talking about, maybe the audiences don't quite sync up.
And This Is the Modern World, unfortunately, didn't reach the Billboard 200 chart. Under pressure from their record company, Wardour, to deliver a hit record, Paul was suffering from writer's block when the band returned to the UK. Nothing was really working for Paul until he returned to his parents' home, and there he took inspiration from the old Kinks records he loved as a kid. He was inspired by Ray Davies' themes of An Imagined England, which the Kinks frontman had coincidentally developed after his group were banned from playing in the US following a similar ill-fated
We know
tour.
all about that story. Weller admitted a lack of interest during the writing recording process and had to completely re-record a new set of songs for the album after producer Chris Perry rejected the first batch as being substandard. All Mod Cons was more commercially successful than This Is the Modern World, which would kind of be hard not to be. Very well critically acclaimed. All Music and Mojo 5 out of 5 stars, Q 4 out of 5, and NME ranked it as the second best album of 1978 in its year in review. And in 2000, Q placed All Mod Cons at number 50 on its list of 100 greatest British albums ever. And in 2013, NME ranked it at 219 on its list of 500 greatest albums of all time. Peter had just a little bit to tell.
Yeah, our patron Peter said, "This is the first of what are regarded as 3 classic albums by the band, with Setting Suns following in 1979, and Sound Effects in 1980. Sound Effects was the other record that we've already done.
Right.
Saying, it's a true English classics, a heady mixture of hard post-punk and 60s pop with one of the softest of ballads thrown in for good measure. This is also the album where Weller laid down his marker as one of the greatest lyricists of his generation. Hard to believe he was still only 20.
Wow, man. All songs written by Weller, except where we know. Going to start off with the title track. It's only a minute 20, Trey.
No, that's right, man. All Mod Cons. So, there's 12 tracks on here, but it's not an incredibly long record, only 37
minutes. Right in that nice wheelhouse.
Yeah,
man.
so this is, Paul pinned this one after a hard-hitting punk rock opener, lashing out against his perceived exploitation by their label. In fact, the A&R man who produced the band's first 3 albums was only able to sign them by offering them so little money to sign that record company management couldn't object. So this is big time. And the next track is somewhat connected to the song, since it is a story of ambitioning fame and then becoming disillusioned after success and its trappings have vanished. So speaking of that, we're going to have the lyrics pulled up, as we always do.
And the music will not be in here, guys. So if you want to hear the music, there'll be a link below. Click on that. You can follow along with this. If you just want to know what we think, just stick around.
All right, the opener, a nice little intro that I know we had said at the start was kind of connected to this next track.
Right,
which,
but a nice little, a lot of energy.
Yeah, it definitely.
Directed at the record company,
apparently? Oh, yeah, no. And all the time we're getting rich, you hang around to help me out. But when we're skint, oh, God forbid, you drop us like hot bricks. So that's, Weller's coming out of the gate.
He is, man. Artistic freedom, do what you want, but just make sure that the money ain't gone. So here we go.
So big time, man. And again, kind of like that punchy. I remember from the last record how much I like Bruce Foxton's bass work, and that's kind of the same thing we got here. So now we'll go into that next track, To Be Someone. Didn't we have a nice time? Another enjoyable one. I can see how this and the title track work together.
Yeah, exactly. It goes right into To Be Someone must be a wonderful thing. A famous footballer, a rock singer, or a big film star. So he's just building up all these famous people who are something. Yes, I think I would like that, to be rich and have lots of fans, have lots of girls, to prove that I'm a man and be number one and liked by everyone. But boy, that doesn't hold ever, does it?
No, and musically, really enjoyed this one. Had some piano thrown in halfway through. The solid guitar work by Weller here. That propulsive beat,
very much so. A lot of energy in these first two songs.
Exactly, man. And then as the song progresses, getting drugged up, kind of showing the other side of fame.
Yep.
And then and I like, and the bread I spend is like my fame. It's quickly diminished. That was one of my favorite lines in here, man. But didn't we have a nice time? Though it might have been short, hey man, he enjoyed it.
It's fun.
And a lot of people who are famous, man, it's only for that blip. It's real tough to have that longevity.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you make it to the top, there's only one way down. That cliche is there for a reason.
Even though Weller himself is only McCartney and Lennon have had number one albums in the UK in 5 different decades, but Weller has 2. So he kind of rose above what he was talking about in this track here, man. And now we're going to go to Mr. Clean. Mr. Clean, ladies and gentlemen. Not to be confused with, the brand of cleaning products, Mr. Clean, which was marketed in the UK as Flash. And unlike the rest of the world, makes no use of the bald man mascot.
So if you're in the UK, you're like, I'm not worried about this. But for everyone else, it's like, no, it's not that Mr. Clean.
All right, Mr. Clean bringing it in here, who Weller is not a fan of, to say the least.
You mentioned it during the reaction. Great bass work. Different musical sound to it.
Yeah.
Than the first 2 tracks, which is good. It's a nice switch up. First 2 were great. This one was really nice too.
A little more laid back, from a little less punky and energetic.
Exactly. Yeah, the bass gave it this little repeating riff almost, and just caught up in your head. And Paul was he was not holding back on the lyrics.
No, man, and I'm just getting the Mr. Clean, just kind of Mr. Clean cut. He's got it all together.
Yeah.
We grow his world in that first verse. He's next to the one is love. He catches his bus for the 8 o'clock rush, and then the next verse we get from Weller's perspective. It's saying, "If you see me in the street, look away, because I don't ever want to catch you looking at me, Mr. Clean." He hates Mr. Clean, his wife. He wants to f up his life. I like the F-bomb in there. It really just kind of got to the...
Yeah, it got you like, I don't like this guy. Yeah, it just conjured up that guy that, we've all met in life, unless you are that guy, and sorry in advance, but that guy that's got it all together, and he's too cool for everything, and he's got the money and the power, and he just thinks he's all that, and no one can touch him. So if you're that guy, sorry, but for the rest of us, most of us don't like that guy.
For the rest of us, we'll grind your face on the ground, as Weller noted as well.
Right,
man.
Exactly.
And now... we spoke of the Kinks a little bit earlier, and now they come back into play with this track, David Watts, which originally appeared on the Kinks' 1967 record, Something Else.
Yeah, it's about the singer's great admiration of fellow schoolboy David Watts, who appears to have a, quote, charmed life. There's an undercurrent of either deep envy or, as AllMusic put it, a schoolboy crush. It's also, as John Savage has written, one of Ray's sharpest homoerotic songs. So as Ray Davies confirmed, David Watts is a real person. He was a concert promoter in Rutland. Ray goes on to relate how the real Watts was gay and demonstrated an obvious romantic interest in brother Dave. In this light, lines such as "he is so gay and fancy free and all the girls in the neighborhood try to go out with David Watts but can't succeed" provide a second level of interpretation based on this ironic in joke. And wow, Ray bringing it back in 1967.
I was about to say,
you really, it's tough to write about these things. So
cutting edge, man.
Props to Ray and props to the Jam for covering
Yeah,
this.
they actually released this as a single, went to 25 in the UK, and a little the trivia note, that Paul is not on these vocals, it's actually Bruce Foxton. Here, Bruce Foxton says, you know what, Weller, I need you to step aside. Let me
it wasn't in the right key for Weller. I wonder, Trey, if you write this, do you give David Watts a heads up that, hey, bro, if you're the king, there's going to be a song where I'm going to not only sing it about you, but I'm just going to name drop you over and over again.
Hey, man, and then a decade later, it's going to get a little revitalized.
And people are going to know about you again. So this is what we talked about at the beginning. It's about, and just about envy of this guy, David Watson. Kind of similar to the last song. We just kind of put a name with it. This guy's got everything. Wish I could be like him. So still kind of kept some of the same themes we're seeing. Except in the previous, now he wants to be like him. In the previous one, he wanted to F up his life.
He wanted to take Mr. Clean out while he wants to be David Watts. Yeah, man. We again had that piano coming in, Weller, with that really, really solid bass work yet again by Foxton, and Buckler was killing it on the drums. Foxton's not going to blow you away on the vocals.
No, but it was fine. This one worked for him. He wasn't asked to do too much. He stayed within his little box that he was comfortable in, and it worked.
And I could see why it was kind of single-like, because it is pretty catchy.
Yeah, very
right
catchy.
Away.
Yeah.
So I dug
with the
it,
man's
man.
name.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly. So let's go now to track number 5. This record goes quick.
It does.
Already on English Rose here. English Rose. Neither the title nor the lyrics were printed on the original vinyl release, due to Weller's feeling that the song's lyrics didn't mean much without the music behind them.
Opinions are divided over whether the song was written about Weller's love and loyalty towards his home country or about an English woman he had feelings for. English Rose is a term often given to an English woman who is beautiful. The rose is also the national flower of England. Peter actually had a little bit to say about this track, Trey.
Yeah, he said, this track is a real departure for a band who were only a year earlier playing to punk audiences. Curiously, the track was not listed on the original album sleeve or label.
Knew this. I figured Peter knew this.
Was Weller embarrassed by it? He certainly isn't now, as it's one of the few Jam songs that regularly features in his live solo shows. It's fair to say that Weller fans love the song. YouTube commentators suggest that it has been played at funerals or brought comfort to grieving husbands. Others have suggested the song should be adopted as England's national anthem. It's also been claimed that the Stone Roses took their name from the song. Wow.
All right.
Well, I'm hyped now. Wow, English Rose coming in. I couldn't talk during that one, man, because that what a just stunningly beautiful tune.
Yeah, and I see over here on the side, Trey, Weller actually told Mojo magazine in 2010, it was me being emotionally naked, speaking openly about being in love. I was aware it wasn't something that blokes from my background didn't do. They didn't reveal their feelings, their sensitive side. Embarrassed by his honesty. That's why he said he left it off the album cover. But so that clears things up, because I could definitely see going into it knowing that people had two different feelings about it.
Yeah.
I mean, if I just read this, I would see it more like being towards England.
No, exactly.
But it's not. Yeah. But I could see how it could just be put in there, because no matter where I roam, I'll return to my English rose. It just starts out that way.
Well, yeah, and it starts off very atmospheric as well.
Yes.
We hear the waves coming in, and then that simple yet gorgeous guitar melody comes into play. I thought that Weller killed it there, and where our first 4 tracks had a lot of energy, or at least a lot of kind of catchiness and stuff going on with them. This strips that all back and shows Weller at his most vulnerable with some great lyricism. Yeah. I like the "I've sailed the 7 seas, flown the whole blue sky." That kind of aids to the waves we heard at the start. Just very very heartfelt in noting that he's done all these things, but to hear her soft voice speak, "No matter where I roam, I will return to my English rose, for no bonds can ever keep me from she," man. So I can see why this is played at funerals and this or that, and I'm I could see this being adapted as a alternative England national anthem too.
It's beautiful. It is beautiful, Trey. Well, now it's time to finish out the A-side, Within the Crowd.
Really enjoyed this one instrumentally in particular. I thought that Weller's guitar work was the best I've heard up to this point, man. A lot of effects coming in that were tight.
Yeah, and I think coming off the last song, just an interesting dichotomy already on this first side. This was more popish slash almost not total rock, but
yeah.
And most of the jam songs we've heard are very, very tight, really well done, great instrumentation, but in a really tight package. 3.5 minutes usually kind of max, and this one let it run. We had a long instrumental outro, so
played it a little more loose.
Yeah, a lot different, and really did enjoy it.
And Weller is built on kind of being that everyday type of man, and you kind of get some of that sense there, talking about how he is in the crowd. Whenever he's in the crowd, just kind of everything goes blank for him. Whether he's there, I fall into a trance at the supermarket. You're going in there shopping, you just feel like kind of mindless.
I do that every week, man. Let's get this over with. Let me go somewhere else.
And so he knows everyone seems just like me. They struggle hard to set themselves free, and they're waiting for the change. Again, man, just that mundaneness and just that kind of dripping of life that just constantly wears at you. We were talking about that a little bit before
we started this. I was telling you all the just mundane stuff I got to get done.
And I like sometimes I think it's a plot and equilibrium melting pot the government sponsors underhand when I'm in the crowd. So even when he's in the crowd, he's starting to kind of have these wheels spinning and whatnot. Life simply just moves along in simple houses, simple jobs, and no one's wanting for the change. Because man, we get complacent, but it's tough to break out of that. But now, already going to side 2, this record's humming along, and it's going to be Billy Hunt starting us off, 3 minutes long. What'd you think of this one?
I enjoyed it. Sticks in your head again. The Billy Hunt. Billy Hunt. He's just kind of talking his noise, man. He's the man, dude. And, I remember the day of my first job, I didn't get along too well with Foreman Bob. Do this, do that. Don't even stop for a cough. Just kind of going on. I'm name dropping Clark Kent. James Bond.
And it seems almost like he is talking himself up with this confidence that he doesn't actually, on the outside world, it doesn't seem like he's viewed as this.
No.
But
one day he's going to grow those bionic arms. Even drop names, or name drops Steve Austin. Not the Stone Cold Steve Austin of your generation, but actually the Bionic Man, Steve Austin from the great Lee Majors TV show in the mid-'70s.
No, so I just like that concept of, I'm maybe not this, but people better stop messing with me because I'm going to become something and then I'm going to remember.
Gonna be sorry, Billy Hunt, Billy.
And man, I really enjoyed Buckler's drum fills on here, maybe his best performance up to this point. And now, y'all, we're going to go to a short and sweet track. It's Too Bad. Definitely, as we were mentioning in the reaction, kind of harken back to the 60s, not only in subject matter, but also kind of musically as well.
Yeah, I thought a good observation, buddy. Very pleasant guitar, nice job. Pleasant vocals. Yeah, just kind of takes you back to yesteryear, just puts a smile on your face.
No, well, and the lyrically, going about that broken relationship, man, it's too bad that we had to break up, and too much said for us to ever make up. I could get by if I could just forget you, but things remind me, and I feel so sad now. Just a simple message that everybody can get behind. And,
yeah, exactly.
Hopefully you can't relate to it, but a lot of people...
Most of us can't. Have been around long enough.
And I like the ending line, you want to play your games, and you don't mind if I get high, and he sung it in a really, really high register right there. So we're up now, y'all, to the track Fly. In fact, Weller was only 20 years old whenever he wrote this, man. Just such a maturity, and maybe his most kind of mature track yet on this.
I agree, and it's a nice differentiation on, tempo.
Yeah, definitely.
As he's real quiet and just some acoustic, and then boom, kicks into more instrumentation.
I like that.
More passion, and
almost
dials
like that
it back.
rush of love you get that he's talking about.
Then he dials it back, then we get it again. So I really enjoyed that one. Very sophisticated and mature.
And we start off at times he's trying to understand himself in relationships and whatnot. That's delved out in the first verse, and then he a little name drop Peter Pan. You can tell Weller as well read and whatnot, just from all the stuff he's been dropping on this record. And man supposedly is made of sand. It seems that man cannot survive at all. He says, one shrug or smile can determine my fate. I'm lost for days and have myself to blame. So whether this gal's smiling at him, he's going to feel good. She's shrugging. That'll be replaying in his mind like, oh man, what did I do wrong? But
for sure.
Next up, y'all, we're going to go to this place, or the place I love. Weller setting the scene quite nicely and vividly, just getting very descriptive with a beautiful moss, colorful flowers, goldfish that swim in a pool. You're just kind of conjuring that up.
Yeah, I agree. I think you said it during the song. He definitely does paint the imagery. For me, just a nice little song. Propulsive drums were the star for me. Nothing stand out here, but a really good tune. Just a good little tight jam tune that I was mentioning earlier that they kind of just are very good at popping out. So definitely enjoyed it.
No, I'm kind of with you, man. It's not going to be on my favorite tracks, but I still liked it. It still had those characteristics of Weller kind of being the common man, just saying he doesn't want to be within a yard of those trendy dudes.
Yep.
So I kind of like that, making a stand against the world. There's those who hurt us if they heard, and that's always in the back of my mind. Still always kind of watching his back in this, even if he's away from his places that he loves, he can still kind of remember it. Now we're going to A Bomb in Wardour Street. Peter noted in his write-up that one theory is that this song is about a bombing in Wardour Street, London, which Paul himself was caught up in. At the time, London was in the grip of a bombing campaign by the Provisional IRA, and there were 13 bombs detonated in this area of London in under an hour in January of 77.
Yeah, I was a young kid, man, but I remember the IRA was a scary thing back then. Wardour Street is the home of the famous Marquee Club, where the Rolling Stones played their first gig. You also had the Stones, Yardbirds, Zepp, Pink Floyd, and Hendrix all had residencies there. The Jam and a host of punk bands also played there in the late 70s. Another punk venue on the street, which is mentioned in the song, was the Vortex nightclub.
Right, and Weller had also said this song is partly about the violence that often erupted at punk gigs. And there's also a line in there, and hate and war, there must be more. Peter, who brought the list, wonders if Weller's having a dig at The Clash, because The Clash had a song of that title on their debut. The Jam had a falling out with them after quitting a UK tour headed by Joe Strummer's band. Strummer had also poked fun at the Jam's Burton suits in their song White Man and the Hammersmith Palace, which we actually have a song reaction to. The animosity, though, between the two guys was short-lived, and they remained friends until Joe's untimely passing.
Which is a testament to both of those gentlemen that they buried it, and just got over it, because so many don't, and there's so much pressure back then as you're trying to get popular and keep your record deal, and so tempers flare, man, so you can get that, but they were men enough and gentlemen enough to put it aside.
Wow, this track bringing the fiery, this is I think the most passion I've heard from Weller on this record.
Yeah, because it's written about a personal experience and a very, scary experience, so I mean, he starts out right away, this is not going to be some fun-loving song where the streets are paved with blood with cataclysmic overtones. Kudos for using cataclysmic.
Oh, yeah, man.
Lyrics. Fear and hate linger in the air, a strictly no-go deadly zone. I don't know what I'm doing here, because it's not my scene at all.
Yeah, man, and just a very punchy track as well, but one that still kind of gets stuck in your head and is catchy, and yet the lyrics have a deep meaning.
Agreed.
Which, ironically, does remind me of a lot of the Clash's work.
It does. No, I was thinking the same thing. Political slant or, contemporary slant, and then
and so with that backdrop of the you could see me kind of bobbing my head here. It's catchy pop and punk influenced music, and then Weller coming in, loved his vocal delivery. You needed to have that fiery passion.
You did.
I think a little bit of grit in there to really come through with what. And I like how A is in parentheses. It makes you think like of an atom bomb. Like
exactly.
It's like the biggest bomb you can get here is in Wardour Street. So really a solid tune here, man. Again, taking kind of some shots at the Law and Order in there and how they're really not getting their job done as well. So powerful penultimate tune, and now we're going to go to a track that was on the Weller Top 10 list.
Ruining it for everybody.
We got the Down in the Tube Station at Midnight, which is a fantastic tune. So you're in for a treat if you've never heard it before. Second single went to 15 in the UK, and originally Paul had wanted to exclude this track actually from the record on the grounds that the arrangement had not sufficiently developed during the recording sessions, but he was persuaded to include it by the record's producer.
Yes, and the song tells the story of an unnamed narrator traveling on his own, who enters a London Underground tube station at midnight to get the last train home, where he's attacked by a gang of men who, quote, smell like pubs and wormwood scrubs and too many right-wing meetings as he buys a ticket from an automated machine. The song starts with the atmospheric sounds of a London Underground station, then a tense beat carried by the bass guitar. The lyrics are sentimental, contrasting the warmth of home and domestic life with the dangers of 1970 London's urban decay and casual late-night violence. Tension is heightened by a heartbeat audio effect in the left stereo channel at points during the song. He said this began as a long poem, which the producer helped shape into a song.
All right, man. Well, let's get into it. You're
in for a treat if you hadn't heard
in this record. Down in the tube station at midnight. Ooh, I mean, I liked the song before, but hearing it in the album context where it comes right after A-Bomb in Wardour Street, it just kind of adds an even bigger punch to just the message it was sending.
Yeah, you kind of read my mind there. I was going to say, I liked it the first time I heard it. You know, there's pros and cons, Trace, of listening to these for the first time, right? Because the first time, you can't pick everything out, but sometimes when you've heard a song 100 times, it becomes mundane to you and you miss things. So there's a double-edged sword because you're really listening intently, so you pick things up. But the second time through and multiple times through, you pick up other things. I think in the context of the album, this one is by far the best arranged and mixed differently because Paul's vocals are very much to the forefront.
Yep.
I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah,
very
that's a good
clear.
point.
Very to the forefront. Great build-in, as we talked about, with the atmosphere, but then the atmosphere just dies out, and it's Paul and just a little bit of instrumentation to bring you into the story. And then the story actually ends quite scary, as they've got his keys, and the wife's gonna think it's him. But then we go back, as you mentioned, to that atmosphere, and then we go to the false fade out. So just a great song.
No, man, and again, Weller just putting us in that position
you
of this
feel like
guy.
you're down there with him.
Yeah, he just starts out getting his ticket, whatever, and he's down in the tube station at midnight because he's literally down the tunnel,
and he's happy.
Whatnot.
He's going home to his wife. He says he's smiling. He's gonna go home and
then they come up on him, and then he's getting those fists. I just again very descriptive, putting you right there, saying the smell of brown leather. It blended in with the weather. It filled my eyes, ears, nose, and mouth. It blocked all my senses. Couldn't see, hear, speak any longer. Like, boom, I could just imagine this poor dude getting beat down. And then now it's a little different meaning of being down in the tube station because this man is literally down, and he kind of sees one of the last things, the Jesus Saves painted by an atheist nutter, a British rail poster saying, have an away day, a cheap holiday, do it today. And yet now these guys, as you mentioned, they got the keys and they're going, and just a kind of a scary way to end the record.
Very
but
much.
The record itself made no apologies, I think, which as we're going now to our favorite tracks and overall score, it didn't make any apologies about being honest about the London life at the time,
right?
The England way, a working man. And that's why I kind of like Weller, because you can tell he's writing from the heart, and it was big time, man. So my favorite tracks, gonna go with English Rose, gonna go with, of course, Down in the Tube Station at Midnight. I actually really enjoyed Fly as well. That was kind of a hidden gem for me, just the way it was going. And In the Crowd was cool too, a longer track, but it was nice.
Yeah, I'll go with Down in the Tube Station at Midnight, by far my favorite, even though there's a lot of other songs I really like. Also English Rose, and then even though it's only a minute 19, the title track, All My Cons, and To Be Someone, Didn't We Have a Nice Time, I thought was a fantastic way to start the record, and I also enjoyed the other ones you did, and that takes us into our overall score. I actually enjoyed every single track on this album. It's going to be hard for me to compare it
to sound effects.
Sound effects, and so I mean I got to go back and listen to them both together to even tell you which one I like better. But I'm going to be a strong 8.25 out of the gate on this. It's really good.
Yeah, I was very impressed, man. As you mentioned, Dad, the jam's so tight, man, and Weller writing all these lyrics at the young age of only 20.
Yeah, it's crazy. Man.
Just so much wisdom in there. I think I like sound effects just a little bit more from what I remember. sure. But man, this
you're younger than me. You got a better memory. I just can't quite.
You can't go wrong with the Jam, man. You really can't. So I'm going to be at a nice solid 7.75 for me on this record. Really enjoyable, tight, concise, and I'm looking forward to what Peter has in store for us next as we go through the Jam journey. I believe that we'll be getting to Setting Suns. I know a lot of people have spoke highly of that. They
have, man.
So I'm looking forward to that. And let us know what you think of this album, your favorite tracks, down in the comments below. And be sure to give our patron Peter some love as well for suggesting another great record for us to listen to. Thanks, Dad, for all the research.
It's fun, man. I love the Jam.
Big time, man. Long live Weller, long live the Jam. And until next time, thanks for watching, happy listening, and we will see y'all next time.